Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's September 11th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And real quickly, a look at our daily chart. Um, Another big bullish day. Closed very close to the highs. The market's about to open back up again here in a moment. It's almost 5 o'clock, but you can see the big bullish day here. We continue to make new highs. This market just continues to push higher. Don't argue with this market. So. Um, it wants to go higher. Now we're getting back up here in overbought territory again. There's still a little room here. We could still push higher, but we could be getting close to another correction here. So don't lose sight of that. See the market just opened there. There's the new bar. But yeah, big bullish day. Let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart. Take a look at it. It is Thursday, so this is wrap up our week. No chart lessons on Fridays. So yeah, let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart and we'll take a look at that. The 2,000 tick chart, and we'll take a look at it and we'll go through the trades. There were a good many trades today, as well. Several second entries with the trend. So let's flip over there and take a look, and we'll go through those trades, and we'll get through this week, and we'll get through this day, and we'll wrap it up. Okay, here it is. You can see we had this trend up, and then we folded over into this flatter trend and finished out the day. We really didn't get this confirmed until way up here late morning. So, and then quickly thereafter, we folded over into this flatter. This one's a little too steep. This one's a little flatter, but that's the way it does sometimes. And as long as it keeps trending higher, especially once you've got your close outside and a new high, you can see once we got that, it tried to fold over, but it still found support off that flatter channel there. But let's zoom in. We'll go through the trades. We did have some news this morning at 7:30, a couple of high volatility pieces, several of them unemployment, CPI, that kind of stuff, all related to the economy. So a lot of times they're going to affect the market. So you had to be flat early on. You really couldn't trade till after 7:30. And then you can see right here what we did. We were working down off that news stuff, took it all back pretty quickly, and it kind of resets here. And you can see we had a new low there, and you had a first entry, then you pushed through the EMA. Actually, you pushed through here and pulled back and then turned back up again. So that's a failed second entry short after a pretty much multiple test of that low. That's going to serve as a trap. I marked it green, but because it is a failure. It's just it's a first, second, third entry. So it's not a second entry. There's really no other reason to enter there other than the failure, and it's not the perfect failure. You prefer, you could almost argue this to be the failure because this is the way you would prefer to see it. You could say, okay, this looks like a double bottom, and then you get a first entry, second entry, and that failed. So you could even argue the same thing there. So we'll make that one green too. But I really looked at this one as being more the failure, but after the fact, I didn't really see it in real time, but I see that right there. I mean, that right there is actually more what you would expect on a failure, where it pushes through the EMA and pulls back, finds support, and takes off. And that's what happened. We shot up here in a spike, and it turned into a channel. So really, you could enter on either one of those if you wanted. I'm making them both green. Neither one of them are perfect, but there's reasons to like them both. And so there they are. There is a second entry over here. Notice you're coming down, you went higher and then you turn back lower. So it's a second entry when it shoots back up there, but you don't want to enter on that. It's not a very good setup. But you got to, at this point, we didn't have this bigger channel, and this looks more like a range, and we're just playing this work up, this little micro channel working up. But you get a close outside, two legs to a new high, and it turns down. This one was tempting, and that's really not congestion. The problem is there's not much room back to that mid EMA there, and it could bounce there. You see it does get a temporary bounce there, but it's a possibility again. I'd wait on something better, but you could probably argue for that to be green as well, because I do think it looks like a triple test. You generally want space, but you're looking for this to possibly trend down, because the trend up is played out, and that's the overnight highs, and it looks like a range. So I noticed when we opened up here at 8:30, it did leave a gap on the chart that was never filled. And a lot of times prices are going to try to fill that, but we never filled that. So will we fill it tomorrow or the next day, or will it just keep going higher? I don't know. We'll have to see. But anyway, we turn down, we start trending lower, and you actually get another failure here. Notice the um, new high up here, and you turn down, you get a first entry, second entry. So again, you could argue for that to be a failed second entry, but you're getting a break of that channel there, and so we could just go lower and fail and come back up again. So I'm not. I mean, I'm just not crazy about ever marking those failure reversals as blue or red. Although sometimes they are very strong, I still think I almost feel like I just want to mark them green because they're difficult to trade and you need to be experienced. And most new traders aren't that experienced, and they'll see this pattern all the time and they'll try to trade it and lose. And that's why I don't talk about them in the manual at all. I think people are better off to leave them alone. But some people are good enough to trade them, so I point them out. But anyway, you get a close outside here and two legs to a new low, and it bounces. But anyway, notice what happens here. We get the break, two legs down, and that's also a double top. So that's a new high, and that's a second entry long. You really don't have a key entry point there, but you got a midline from that range, and you already got the break in two legs, and that's been acting as support. I think you could argue there's a triple test across there as well, and so I like that trade. And if you catch this one trade, you could easily ride this all the way up, at least to here. Now you might have got out up here, but if you can catch that, and it wouldn't be that hard to catch this one, and you're probably gonna catch a runner. And let's just say you got the first. Let's say you were able to ride it all the way up. Well, there's 21 points, but let's just say you rode it up until you got to close outside with a break below it with a bearish bar, so somewhere right in there. So it's still 15, easy 15 points or more. And depending on how aggressive you are, you might have ridden it all the way. I mean, you could have ridden it up all day for that matter if you're really good at that. I mean, I struggle with that part of it, so that's probably where I would have exited. The first close outside on a break below probably would have been right there, and that's 15 points easy. So keep that in mind. That's how I'll play it. I usually wait till I get a close outside. Sometimes I'll just move it up below each swing. But even if you did that, you don't get out till here if you move it up between each swing low. But generally, once you get a close outside, which is starting here, I start putting it underneath those signal bars. So that'll give you an idea where I'd get stopped out right there. But you get the close outside, moves to a new high, it drops down, then we're just working sideways again. Now here you got a second entry long, you got a triple test, good signal bar. I like going long there again. And then you get another one right here, another bounce off that low. You might even move that down a little bit right there now. And another move up. And this one just keeps going. You know, again, you probably wouldn't get a runner on that. You might try if you get a failed breakout. But generally on these tight ranges like this, I don't even try to get a runner because you almost always get stopped out. But it ends up breaking higher, close outside, move to a new high, and you just can't get in up here. You can't enter on these highs. So if you didn't get here and manage to survive it, there's no way to catch that trade. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it plays out sometimes. But we do get the close outside, a couple of swings to a new high, and then you're working lower again. Now, again, you don't have this bigger channel in play yet. It's a possibility if you're really good, you might see the midline if you just use those first two swings. But it's harder to find this at that point. So most people probably wouldn't have it, but so you're just playing this breakout. This one's already over, and so this might have a failed breakout, and now you got a trend working down, and this is actually more like this right here. You got a trend working down, and this is the first break, and that's a failure again. Notice the new high, first entry, second entry, and look how quick it fails. So your entry would be one tick below this bar on a failure, but your safety stop would have to go above the swing high, so it's one tick above the green bar. But again, I don't recommend most people trade these. The key here is, do you have enough room to get out between here and just making a new low? Because you could make one tick lower in reverse, kind of like we did here. I think we made more than one tick, but it wasn't many, and then it reverses. And you get a close outside here, and notice it's two legs back to the EMA, so that's a second entry long right there. And you do get a close outside and a new low all in one bar. I like entering there. There's a higher low here, but there's just not enough room to get out right there. I think you have to skip that, because we could be working back to the trend line, and that resistance might hold till we hit that trend line. So I don't think you can enter on the higher low. I think you have to enter here or no. So it's entering here or no entry at that point. It runs up, moves back down, close outside first entry, and then a break above that bar is a second entry. It looks very similar to this one, so it's like a repeat pattern, except now you do have room to get out, so I like it on that one, plus the fact that it's a repeat pattern. Runs to a new high and turns down, and what does it do? It makes two big legs back to the key entry point. But you got a real tight channel working here, close outside. There's actually two legs down to a new low. Right off that confirms that trend line you can see working up through there. I like that one. You might could argue that one's green. It's real close. But if you see what's going on here and you've got this trend line, take that. Definitely take the higher low. There's still plenty of room going up there. And this thing just takes off again. And we run up, close outside, and we just start working sideways. But we do finally make that new high on that swing right there, on that retest. And so as long as there's room to get out there, take that short. There's another lower high here, but you can't go short right there into the support, so you can't get in that one. And what does it do? It runs back down till you get I don't think that's a convincing closeout, so I don't think you get that till here, and it's two swings to a new low. Now you might argue there's a closeout side here. It's not super convincing, but you could argue there's a closeout side there. In fact, this might be a little lower off that green bar right there, and this would be a little higher. So in that case, I think you can argue there's a closeout side and new low, and regardless, it bounced right off the key entry point. I marked it green because it's a little close. Maybe you'll get a higher low, and sure enough, you do right off the key entry point. That's the better place to enter. Notice too, there's a failed second entry short there. So a couple of different reasons to like that, and but mostly that key entry point there and the close outside and new low. And notice you do make a lower low than that one. So even if you did draw this slightly different and don't consider those closes outside, you get it here and two legs to a new low. So you get it either way. And then this thing just takes off, close outside, move to a new low, and it turns down. There's no entry there. And here we're just kind of stuck going sideways. I don't think you can count that as a triple test across there. I mean, we came back and tested this a few times, but this is still trending higher for that. We're still making higher highs until here, and then it runs down and makes a lower low, and it shoots right back up. But it's kind of in no man's land. It didn't go back to the trend line. It's just a first entry. I didn't draw the downtrend here, but you can see it there, and I don't think there's a close outside the new low, but it does shoot back up, close outside. You never really make a new high here, but you start working down, you get a close outside on this channel, and you get two swings here, and you do make a new low. I don't know if you actually make a new low, but you make a double bottom. But you get a triple test there after the break and two legs down. So I like entering on that signal bar on that triple test, especially since you had the break and a move, two legs. Even though you don't really see two clear legs, it moves down, up, down. There's two legs down there. And then it bounces, and then you're just working sideways again. And this is just really congested here. There is a triple test there, but your highs are, at that point, your highs are like right in here. And so I don't think you want to enter on that. You might have adjusted it up after that one, but at that point you don't really have the same setup. So um, you might say, okay, well, we got a triple test here, but then there's not enough room to get out either, and it's not a perfect signal bar. Um, Same thing to the short side, not get enough signal bar, and then here there's not enough room to get out. It would have ended up working off the higher low, but again, the higher low doesn't have room to get out either, so you just have to sit tight here. They're just not a really good setup. It's so late in the day, and then that takes you into 2:30, and that wraps up the day. So that's how I saw it. I think there's two trend channels here. There's one here that kind of runs out of steam, but the overall upward bias is still there, and you just fold over into a flatter channel. And so there it is. Lots of trades today. I'd say there's several good trades. Several of them are second entries right off a key entry point if you found the key entry points. So pretty good trading day overall. Decent week this week. This market wants to go higher. Now, again, we're getting back up into overbought territory, so we'll see what tomorrow brings. If if people will be brave enough to carry the longs into the weekend, or if we'll get a little sell off and before we go into the weekend, profit taking or whatever. So anyway, I hope you had a good trading week. I'm going to wrap up for today. We'll be back again to do it Monday. I'm done. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.